It's a real setback, and there is some doubt. I know they're hopeful he'll be back in a couple of weeks. There is some doubt that he may even see another game with the Melbourne Tigers, depending on what happens.
I say, well, adversity creates opportunity. It's a coaching mantra throughout all sports. We'll see how the Tigers, they're undermanned. Seth Scott's playing, but he's got an injury problem as well, and they're taking on the top team. So it would be something if they could get a result here this afternoon. Let's see how they go. Oh, Golding, nice move and terrific reject from the big fella Pledger.
Golding's another one. He's had a sensational season, but when you think of those 17.5 points you've got to make up, you're going to do it by committee. And Chris Golding is one of those ones that can chip in a few extra.
Greer scrapping hard, but ran into a bit of a brick wall. Ballinger just bided his time beautifully. Tigers are away.
Mid-court collision, Tommy Greer just bowled over Nate Tomlinson. Nate Tomlinson coming in the starting point guard position. I wouldn't think he'd be overawed with these circumstances, though, because he was a starter at the University of Colorado, a big school for 4 years.
Jackson took a walk, Andrew.
Little travel, but in those 4 years, you know, you're talking about a big program. It's a long time to be playing and starting and having that type of responsibility. So, although he hasn't played much this season, Nate Tomlinson, his impact has been fairly modest. He's certainly going to be accustomed to playing in big games.
Let's see how he goes. He's got Cedric Jackson guarding him, and a little tap from Jackson creates an opportunity for Pledger, who looks a little awkward charging down the court, but he gets it back now from Jackson in more familiar territory for him. He's got Kona underneath, and that gets the breakers going.
Good high-low action. The 7-footer down low. A lot of the times you're thinking offense when you throw it to the big fella down there and him scoring, but when you've got that size, and although he's up against Manny Burston at 6'10", he's still got that reach, and with that passing ability as we saw there, makes him real tough to guard in that low post position. You can just throw over people. But good court vision. Size matters, Rob.
So they say, Andrew. Big part of the game. So here's Chris Golding. Oh, lovely. Playing Burston with the big bucket.
Very tentative defense by New Zealand Breakers there. They showed on the pick and roll. See the big fella Alex Pledger, and that's where Thomas Abercrombie, we saw him on the weak side. He needs to zone off and be that third-man rotation.
Jackson and Burston doing it at both ends. Oh, and Ballinger just lost the radar a bit there, but they'll get it back and slapped away from Adam Ballinger, who had an injury-interrupted start to the season, but since then has been wonderful. Really good pick up for the Melbourne Tigers. He's got a massive role here this afternoon. Burston started well, and the layup didn't go, then the tip didn't go, and then Pledger mops up for the Breakers, and Jackson a triple-double last time these two sides met. That's rare in the NBL, and nice little hook from Pledger. That's his bread and butter.
Cedric Jackson will do so much. Leads the league in assists at a little over 7 a game. And there's the full court extended pressure by the Melbourne Tigers, and by the New Zealand Breakers, and that's foul being called on the pass. This would probably be the biggest concern Chris Anstey would have, is how they deal with this extended pressure by the New Zealand Breakers.
It's been a theme of the season, really.
It has. It got better. They led the league in turnovers, the Melbourne Tigers, before Johnny Flynn arrived. They're still up there, but certainly since Johnny Flynn arrived, they started to take better care of the basketball.
Greer, he's wide open, and he accepts the invitation.
He has that ability, Tommy Greer, when his feet are set. Unorthodox, not technically sound shooting technique, but just can knock down. There's an air ball
from Daryl Corletto.
Abercrombie, I think it was.
I beg your pardon. And the Tigers have started well here. They're looking pretty pumped and happy with their work just at the minute.
My word, they are. And the early transition basket coming off that air ball by Abercrombie, and the Tigers pushing it down the floor. And not a bad strategy. I think when you're playing the New Zealand Breakers, one of the better scoring teams in the competition, you sometimes be a little hesitant to get out and get in that running game, but given the lack of points that you lose with Johnny Flynn. You've got to try and find a way to make them up. And if you can pick up some easy transition baskets, that goes a long way to helping things as Cedric Jackson, as casual as you like, into the paint with a little dipsy-do type floater with the left.
Couple of bunny hops, magical. Ballinger under the pump, tries to get around Pledger, who's all over him, and now Ballinger desperately needs a hand. Golding, catch and shoot. Oh, that saw a fair bit of it. Just didn't drop. And Cedric Jackson. He just pulls it up. It's a little short. Good rebound from him, Chris Golding. He's going himself into the paint and almost took the three-point play, but regardless, he's off to the line.
Clearly seeing a strategic plan by the Melbourne Tigers in this first 4 minutes. Their willingness to push the ball up the floor and make something happen in transition. Not afraid to take the early shot. And Chris Golding this time weaves his way to the basket. A little bit of contact there by Abercrombie. Golding, as I mentioned, needs some big things out of him from the Melbourne Tigers standpoint. He's having an outstanding year, Chris Golding. 14 points a game. And a fairly respectable 33% from the three-point line as well. 81% free throw shooter on the season, makes 1 of 2.
He's disappointed with that. Catches on for New Zealand. Here's Corletto. And nice easy play there for Corletto. Ballinger surely had a little jumper here. That's one you'd normally expect him to make, and good scrambling then from Jackson keeps it alive to the breakers. Cedric Jackson just so assured with the basketball. Short, just doesn't control it, so New Zealand can reset. 5 seconds only left on the shot clock.
Leon Henry tries to emulate Darryl Corletto with a little floater. Big fella, not quite with the depth touch of Darryl Corletto. Comes up short.
Well, there's a mismatch there for Pledger, and surely he'll make the Tigers pay there against poor old Tommy Greer making the big fella.
Blocking foul there with the extended full court pressure. Breakers have been in some sensational form. They started off, although they were winning, they won some real tight ones and just took a little while to find their way. But in the last 7 games, they're averaging 93 points a game. 93 points is some good scoring, but they're doing it at 47% from the field and even more impressive, 41% from the three-point line. So they are just, it seems like they're timing their run towards the playoff absolutely perfect.
Do you have them in front of Perth Breakers for premiership favouritism?
I didn't, but in the last couple of weeks I've changed, and I do now. You're allowed to do that, aren't you?
It's a movable feast. Golding goes inside. Initially thought about the shot and burst, and again doing some good work underneath. Good start this for the Melbourne Tigers.
It is. They've looked well. They've looked good. New Zealand Breakers coming off a game on Thursday. And just look a little tentative to start things off. Nothing really to be concerned about. The Tigers lead at 13-10 with a few ticks under 5 minutes. A few ticks under 5 minutes in the game passed. And the Tigers, they lead it by 3.
13-10.
K-E-I-S, find out what you're missing. Do the right thing, better living. Home is where the heart is, New Zealand. B-I-S-K-E-I-S, B-I-S-K-E-I-s.
Keep watching, keep supporting them.
Get behind your champions in their last home game of the regular season. Breakers Tigers, live Thursday, Sky Sport 2.
Welcome back to tense coverage of the NBL. The Tigers with a tough assignment today against the all-conquering New Zealand Breakers, who, if they win, will just make a surety of finishing on top of the ladder in the 2012-13 NBL season. Most would anticipate that they're going to do that in any case, but for the Tigers this afternoon, if they can pull off an amazing surprise victory here, it will go a long way towards wrapping up one of the remaining finals opportunities, with only New Zealand and Perth locked in to finish in the top 2 of the top 4.
Well, that's right, and the New Zealand Breakers have got this one against the Tigers, then they back up again on Thursday, again against the Melbourne Tigers, so a little final series before the finals for the Melbourne Tigers against the Breakers, and then the New Zealand Breakers round off the season against the Perth Wildcats in the last round. Might be interesting to see if they've locked up first place. There might be some significant changes to the roster for that last game in Perth as Coletto knocks down the 3.
Roger Aldridge has been doing a bit of eavesdropping. What have you come up with, Rog?
Yeah, look, Chris Anstey fairly happy with the start by the Tigers. He just asked them to be a little bit more active defensively and contest the shots, but he said they are looking very good when they're running. So just concentrate hard on that transition and keep going the way they're going.
Okay, bit of positive reinforcement from the Tigers coach, Chris Anstey. A little more patient here. Here's Tomlinson with the shot. And Boucher mops up for New Zealand. He might do it himself. This is Kona. In. Coletto. Boucher created some space.
I think they called that on Seth Scott on the rebounding contest. 20. Seth Scott wasn't there last weekend, last Saturday against the Wollongong Hawks. Missed that game with a back problem.
They're trying to nurse him through, Andrew. I mean, they didn't start him, but I wonder how that works in practice. I mean, at some stage, you've got to get out there.
We did practice a little throughout the week, not a lot, and I think just with the amount of, you take a week, 10 days off where you don't do too much, your fitness could be a concern, but you're right, if he's here, personally, I'd be rolling the dice with him, would have started him, and if he's no good, pull him out then, but he's in the game now. Let's see how effective he can be.
And Liam Rush is on. Here is Seth Scott, such a vital member of this Tigers lineup. Nice little pass from Tomlinson, and Seth Scott on the turnaround. Beautiful touch.
One of the toughest shot he's had all season. No problems with the back there. Kona, again running the floor of the New Zealand Breakers. That's what I was talking about a little bit earlier from the Melbourne Tigers. You start pushing it up, you don't want to get into a track meet with the New Zealand Breakers, one of the deepest, them and the Perth Wildcats, deepest rosters in the competition, and they can play that full court game a lot longer than most other teams.
Adam Ballinger got his man in the air then. Seth Scott the clean up. Oh, didn't go. Boucher. Good rebound. Here's Jackson. Cedric's on the move. Lovely pass, and Boucher with the easy layup. They've started to make their move, the New Zealand Breakers.
Yeah, and one thing, they're running downhill on offense and uphill on defense. The Melbourne Tigers need to get back a lot quicker. The defensive transition.
Just a couple of easy shots there, the Melbourne Tigers.
And real quick shots. I really think they've got to find that balance. I think some of that early transition was fool's gold myself, particularly against the New Zealand Breakers. Not sure you're going to be able to maintain that transition basketball for long periods.
Kona will fall away. So Chris Golding sharing the duties with Nate Tomlinson in the absence of Johnny Flynn.
CJ Bruton, the veteran, 5 NBL titles he's won, looking for his 6th. He's got a tough assignment, the veteran coming out on having to guard Chris Golding.
The sense with CJ Bruton, he sort of saves himself for the big moments, doesn't he? He's a wonderful clutch player.
No better example of that than last season's playoff series against the Wildcats, where CJ Bruton was sensational throughout, hitting big shots. I would say that slip a little heavier than he did last season.
Gee, you're all sweetness and light during pre-match.
No, he's power guard now. So he's been able to adapt his game to his body style, and that's what happens when you've got a great basketball IQ. You can figure out ways to get it done despite sometimes your physical limitations because of the injuries that CJ Bruton has had over the last couple of years.
Not sure if you've salvaged that or not.
No, it's the honest truth. I'm not trying to salvage it.
Webster on for the Breakers. Just over a minute left in the first quarter. Here's Pledger. Oh, he double dribbled him.
A little carry. Tried to fake the handoff to Corey Webster. Saw an opening too late. I'll tell you one other thing that's a factor, and you don't usually talk about the weather when you're playing an indoor game like basketball, but it is
stifling here.
Slightly beyond stifling, that's what it is in here.
It's damn hot, isn't it? Melbourne's going through an unbelievable fortnight or so of hot weather for this time of the year.
Chris, you coach.
Golding, a three.
They're highlighting the problems that CJ Bruton will have. Chris Golding got that size advantage. Just little handoff, stops and pops and splashes the three.
Henry, done comfortable. They're scrapping hard for it. Golding emerges. Melbourne could regain the lead here as we head in towards the end of the first quarter. Liam Rush. Seth Scott. He's stripped of it. And now the Breakers.
A little hand on the ball.
Chew up the clock, Andrew. Chew up some time and have the final play.
That's right. But that last one, Seth Scott, he just clipped his knee according to the ref. Little hand in and just caught his knee on the way out.
Doesn't go for Webster. They've got 4 seconds. Golding. Benny Lewis gets it up. Does it drop? No, and there's no foul. Oh, that would have given them some momentum going into quarter time. As it is, it's the Breakers who enjoy a 1-point lead. That was a really entertaining quarter of basketball. The Tigers scrapping for their finals life. We'll be back with more very shortly after the break.
Baby, she's over.
Get higher, go faster, be stronger, change the game. The ANZ Championship returns March 24th live Sky Sport. Coverage brought to you by ANZ.
While Saturdays are good for
Greco-Roman wrestling,
and Sundays are good for
guys that aren't scared to get a bit dirty and naughty.
weeknights.
Crow goes wild.
Yes, weeknights are the best.
Crow goes wild.
Yeah, definitely. I like your shirt.
Thanks, man.
I want to hear the crowd go wild.
By 1, 21-20. What's been a good game so far, Andrew Gaze.
It has. It's been entertaining, and both teams taking very good care of the basketball. Only two turnovers per team, so pretty efficient game by both teams as well.
Roger Aldridge.
Yeah, look, Breakers coach Andre Lamanis, obviously, he called for his players just to be a bit more aggressive in the key when they're looking to score, not to run offense for the sake of offense, but to move it to score. But the word from Michael Bacona was that he wants them to be more aggressive in defence, and if there's just no easy baskets, be aggressive and well, smash them, was his words.
You know, defensively, they haven't been terrible. The Melbourne Tigers only shooting it in that first quarter at 38% from the field. So, shooting field goal percentage, not always, but sometimes is an indication of how your defence is going. And it's just been a couple of slip-ups in the transition that caught the New Zealand Breakers out early on in the quarter. But you don't have a record like the New Zealand Breakers, which is nothing short of sensational, 22-3. Wow. Only the 3 losses. That's extraordinary when you consider the calibre of the competition, the travel they have to do. It's you don't get that type of record without having some pretty darn good defence.
Walker to Burston, who makes a certainty of it. It's the third time he's been effective at about that spot.
Just a receiver down low. Roy Webster's not shy, is he? He's come out and been real aggressive on the offensive end, and he goes again. Why not?
You'd have a bit of sympathy for that view, surely.
Young fella, he's had a challenged introduction into the NBL. And back, and good to see him back in the lineup. A lot of potential.
This is Tomlinson for the Melbourne Tigers. Burston, almost his way into a good spot. Lucas Walker, will it fall? It does! Hey!
Doesn't matter how, it's how many. Back of the ring and gets the very kind bounce to drop in. And Lucas Walker this season really been a lot more productive. Confident from the three-point line. You see Jake Bruton, little head and shoulders fake, gets the Tigers flying.
Just get his man in the air.
Sort of respect that they have for his three-point field goal shooting.
Gee, nice fluorescent wheels on Benny Lewis, but they don't do the job for him there.
Just a little too quick for the wheels. Not enough traction on that particular occasion, but the referees deemed it a little clip of the feet and called the foul. Benny Lewis coming off a DNP last week against the Wollongong Hawks, and there you see he's tripped over himself, I think. And they call a foul on CJ.
So Tomlinson running the floor for the Tigers. Golding. Ooh, risky pass, almost stolen by Cedric Jackson. Mopped up. And Chris Golding stepped on the line, and they were having issues with the shot clock, so good D from New Zealand once more. Last time these two met, New Zealand won by 30.
That was in New Zealand, and it was a good old-fashioned shellacking.
Yeah, a bit of a spifflication, so
I like it. Haven't heard it. I like it though.
It's not mine. I'm pitching it from someone else, really. But yeah, good old-fashioned hiding wasn't the 30 points, but today's looking far more competitive. Rexy Hunt started up the old spifflication. G'day, Rex, if you're watching this afternoon.
Mika Bacona, he's foul there, little hands foul on the crossover step by Lucas Walker. Mileto and Bacona check out of the game.
So Tomlinson gets a little screen from Burston. Runs into the traffic.
Good job, nothing there.
Webster does a good job on Golding. Oh, it was just got himself in an awful position in the end. And
very rarely does good things happen when you leave your feet. That time, Golding goes up, couldn't find anything, and Webster comes in.
Just indicating the depth of their guards. I mean, Webster floating in the air comfortably there.
Using 11 minutes a game and almost 6 points a game, so the statistics would seem to suggest that probably deserves a little bit more time. Very productive in his minutes played is Webster.
Oh, Lewis just lost control, and Jackson taking it all the way. Oi! Lucas Walker climbing high.
Tough ball. Have to check that on the replay. If that ball hits the backboard, then it's a goaltend. We take a look at the replay. Here's Webster, just puts the Jets on, and still hard to tell from that angle. But here we go. As Benny Lewis does his best and hits the backboard, and then the block occurs. So good call by the officials on that one. It's always a tough call to make when it happens that quick to make those types of calls, but gets it done.
So Chris Anstey is just having something to say. I just drop off, mate.
I don't give a damn what your orders are.
Somebody brought a knife to a gunfight. The Box, the home of crime drama.
The home of crime.
The home of crime drama.
Melbourne Tigers have got a tough run home. Today they're taking on the New Zealand Breakers, who they'll face again during the week, and then they face Townsville twice as well as Cairns. So it won't be easy. There's an opportunity there, though, for them. They probably need to win at least 3 of their 5 games.
3 will give them a chance. 4 of them, I think, will guarantee that they get in. But 3 of them, and provided they don't tie with the Sydney Kings. If they end up with a tie with the Sydney Kings, who at this stage only have the 11 wins, Melbourne only have 10. But if they tie with Sydney, they actually miss out because they have the split. If they're equal on wins and losses, they have the split. So that's really a game, an extra game in hand that the Kings have over the Tigers. But with that loss by the Wollongong Hawks to the Townsville Crocs on the weekend, throws them back into the mix of plenty of work to do for them to try and secure a spot as well.
You'd expect it to go right down to the last week before the finals. Burston, that's well played. So they're working hard here. The Melbourne Tigers to stay with the premiership favourites in New Zealand. Perth might have something to say about that. Abercrombie's wide open, doesn't fall. And Tomlinson to Walker. Oh, yeah. Spectacular effort, but he was just always out of position there. Hemmed underneath the basket. Couldn't get anything on the shot. Roger Aldridge caught some.
Obviously, a couple of disappointing attacking efforts before that timeout. Pretty sloppy moves from the Tigers. So the simple message from Chris Anstey was just don't mess around with the ball. If you're there, shoot it. And obviously, well, they'll try and do that. They tried something a little bit spectacular just then, obviously, after the timeout. It didn't come off, but expect them to clean things up a bit on the attack. Here we go.
All right, Walker. Benny Lewis. Cedric Jackson. Webster. Abercrombie. Boucher. He's lost control of it once more, but cleaning up there is Webster. Gee, he's enjoying his court time at the moment.
And a lot of freedom out there too, Webster. The Tigers might need to reassess the strategy on how they're going to guard him.
There's a 3-on-1, and that's well played from Jackson, and getting it done.
And it just goes to show how exposed you are when you turn the ball over against the New Zealand Breakers. We spoke about that first quarter where the Tigers only had 2. They've already had 4 now in this second period, and that's what can happen with this well-drilled, skillful, talented New Zealand Breakers outfit.
Blink of an eye, Andrew. It's out to 8 points, the Breakers lead.
Dylan Boucher. I understand playing his last season in the NBL, will retire at the end of the season.
And then will he go into head office? Is that the plan?
That's the plan. I think he's had some head office roles in the past. I've seen him before as an assistant coach or on the bench with the New Zealand national team. He's got a lot of intellectual property in that body of his about the game of basketball, and I think that he is going to be an asset to New Zealand basketball and the Breakers in the future, or should be at the very least.
So what, some good news has arrived here in the line of some air conditioning, Andrew. You feeling that?
I do feel it, and it's much needed. One thing Dylan Boucher probably won't be speaking on too much is free throw technique and free throw shooting, because across his, although this one should give him some props, it's not bad, but in general, hasn't always been all that comfortable with the free throw line. Dylan Boucher.
Out to 9 points. The Tigers need to be careful. Here, they'd be trying to stay in this game as deep as they can and then hope the crowd can get them across the line late. Golding pulls it up. It's short. Boucher on the move. Abercrombie's been quiet. And the travel call.
Called for a little travel. Little change of the foot. The pivot foot, or a sliding of the pivot foot. There you see it. Watch that. Oh, no, that's very slight. It technically is there, but not a lot in that travel.
Yeah. A bit more careful with the ball than that. And Cedric Jackson like that.
Really starting to unravel now the last couple of minutes. A lot of native one-on-one plays. Take a look at the field goals. 10 of 24 for the Tigers. A very healthy 15 of 26 for the New Zealand Breakers, and given the amount of layups and easy baskets they've been getting. And I like that a little bit better. Just a bit of motion, post up, walk up, and gets Chris Golding on the back cut. They look so much better and a bit more control of the tempo, or having an influence of the tempo when they get into some half-court sets. The last couple of plays where the turnovers, trying to make something happening after one pass, or the native one-on-one play like we saw from Chris Golding. I'm not sure that's going to be in their best long-term interest for the Melbourne Tigers.
Trailing by 11 all of a sudden, and the margins open quickly. He's an 81% shooter from the free throw line. Chris Golding.
Been given a lot of responsibilities this season, Chris Golding, and in my view, this has been his best season ever in the NBL. Did some good things with the Gold Coast plays, but for mine, this is his best, most solid contribution in the NBL.
Nigavatona. Jackson has just got such a fast first step.
Yes. And it's the change of pace too. And one thing that's underrated, and there you see that first step just blowing by Nate Tomlinson. And you don't necessarily speak about this a lot. It's Cedric Jackson's ability to accelerate, but also de-accelerate. He can be going 100 miles an hour and then just pull up on a dime and make a great pass, or make a layup. Great body control.
Jackson for three. Doesn't fall. This is Vatona working hard. The trademark of his game. It's Jackson. That would have been something. Golding. Tomlinson. Bellinger. Oh, well done, Tommy Greer. So back to a 7-point advantage for the New Zealand Breakers. And Darryl McDonald and Chris Anstey check things out, with Darryl McDonald making his point to the Melbourne Tigers coach. And he's pretty emphatic about whatever he's saying as well, Andrew.
He is, and I think Darryl has been very much a mentor for Chris Anstey throughout this season. We've seen this a lot with him providing a lot of input in how it goes. But Andre Lamanis,
is he the new or the next Boomers coach?
Well, he's going to be one of the major candidates, you would think. He's been the assistant coach to Brett Brown in a very, very good period for the Boomers that I think everyone would have hoped that Brett Brown would have continued on as the head coach and finish off the work that he was starting. But unfortunately for him, I think the commitments with the San Antonio Spurs got the better of him and really put a challenge on his family life, I'd imagine, with all the travel as well. So it's opened up, and Andre Lamanis, Rob Beveridge would be another one that I think would be in strong consideration. And I'm sure there's plenty of others that put their hand up, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks a decision will be made on who will be the next coach. And Andre Lamanis, hard to fault what he's done.
You picking that?
I'm on one of the. I'm on with a committee that's involved in the selection process. I wouldn't say I'm picking it, but I'm one of 6 that's been asked to provide some input.
All right, all inquiries to Andrew Gaze.
Very early stages, right? Yet no interviews, nothing's been done at this stage, but some.
So when will we have a decision? What's the timeline? A month or so?
I think so. Next 3 or 4 weeks, I think they're looking to make a decision, because at the end of the day, the new coach has got to get with the team. You've got to play the Oceania Series this year to qualify. We're going to qualify anyway, but to prepare for next year's World Championships. So a series against New Zealand beyond later in the year between the Oceania Championships.
Make an interesting dynamic for Andre if he gets the gig and be coaching against a lot of these players, his current players. So back to 9 points for New Zealand advantage. Scott's on for the Melbourne Tigers. And here he's receiving from Golding. Patient build up this. Chain of passes, and Adam Bellinger. Oh, he just gives it away. Straight to Corletto. Webster underneath, and that's too easy.
Turnovers starting to become an issue, up to 9 now for the Melbourne Tigers. And there's another one.
Oh, no. Jackson, Corletto for 3, and he drains it.
Not sure what signal Joel Corletto's celebrations there. Not sure what was going on with 3, but what a little spurt in the blink of an eye. It's now 31-45, and the Melbourne Tigers with some significant issues, all on the back of some very, very ordinary turnovers.
Well, twice they didn't get over halfway.
And that's where you really do miss Johnny Flynn. He's been a little error prone himself, but particularly against the New Zealand Breakers, when you consider their games this season, the Breakers have forced Melbourne's point guards into 15 turnovers in their 2 meetings so far this season, including 10 from Flynn and Nate Tomlinson in round 9. So they have been prone to cough it up, and that man on the screen, I'm not sure if they are just there for aesthetics or he's got some vision problems, looking a little like Urkel. Is that the fashion these days? I've seen that with Kevin Durant and co in the NBA. But interesting type. Look.
He's going with it, Johnny.
It works. I enjoy it.
So 14 points, the Tigers trailing New Zealand by now. And again, this frontal pressure is causing Melbourne so many problems. Roger Aldridge has been listening in.
Andre Lamanis just very, very relaxed there in the huddle, kicking back, just seated on the bench. But he did say nothing easy, everything contested. Last 2.5 minutes, just put the pressure on and go to halftime with a big lead.
Well, they're on track. Cedric Jackson. They left it open for him, and the springs get going.
Really, the guy gets it at the other end and can go coast to coast with the dunk. The defensive transition really suffering at the moment for the Melbourne Tigers, and they can't score. Literally cannot score.
This is Webster's having a game up to 12 points.
11 of 28 now from the field for the Melbourne Tigers.
Now, Corletto, lovely little floating shot there. And, gee, they're putting some distance between themselves and the Melbourne Tigers now. 18 points, the New Zealand Breakers lead. And it's happened so quickly. Ballinger. That's his trademark area to score from, and Cedric Jackson full of confidence now. A little razzle-dazzle from Cedric.
Just way too easy. Melbourne Tigers reactive on defence. There's the dunk. Cedric Jackson, the little fella, coast to coast. Just a wild swipe from behind from Chris Golding. That's not going to get it done. You've got to get in front. Big fellas have got to clog up the middle. It's hard when you're outnumbered like that and they're pushing it down the floor, but you've got to take the odds to the perimeter shot and get exposed like that straight down the middle to go and get dunked on.
Well, that's 50 and a half, which is rare in the NBL these days.
Not for the New Zealand Breakers as far as their overall average, if you look at their recent form anyway.
So they've become a scoring machine, if you like, really.
Well, in the past 7 games, as I mentioned, averaging almost 94 points a game. So that's really been the difference, I think, and why my favouritism tag has changed from the Breakers from the Perth Wildcats to the Breakers. It's just their efficiency on the offensive end. Perth Wildcats in recent times have just struggled a little bit from the perimeter. When I say struggle, that's a relative term, I might add. But just been a little down on the perimeter. Take a look at the fouls, and Breakers committing more fouls than the Tigers, 10-6.
So a late period here in the second quarter has torched the Melbourne Tigers. Seth Scott looking to get it back to 17 points. It doesn't go, and Jackson's been in everything. And provided the highlight of his opening half. Pauletto. She's got the radar going on at the moment, the former Melbourne Tiger. 15 points for Daryl Pauletto.
Perfect 5 of 5 from the field, 3 of 3 from the three-point line.
He can do no wrong.
You know, there's a drive, and Seth Scott's going to work his way to the free throw line, but right there in isolation has been, I think, one of the problems the Melbourne Tigers have had. The one pass, give it to someone and let them penetrate on a native type play, hasn't been successful through the checks and balances. Seen it also a couple of times with Chris Golding and others, just trying to make something in a one-on-one contest or a very simple one-pass pick and roll. You need a little bit more sophistication when you're up against the talent of the New Zealand Breakers.
Seth Scott doesn't make either. So New Zealand can extend his 21-point lead, if you don't mind. He's almost got time to drop his shoes there, Cedric Jackson.
2-3 zone by the Tigers for this last play.
Pauletto, he can miss. Will the tip go at one? And Seth Scott throws it away, but what started full of promise has ended in
tears.
In tears, that's a good way of putting it. 21 points to lead. Here's Roger Aldridge.
With a very familiar face in Daryl Pauletto. Daryl, a very tight start, but you've really gapped him in the lead up to half-time.
Yeah, we have. You know, we weren't too impressed with our first quarter. I think they had 20 points at quarter time, so we had to play better defense in the second quarter. And we kept it to 12 points that quarter, so far so good.
And your own radar's been very much on. Hit a couple of threes there.
Yeah, it's always good. You know, they're packing the lane with Cedric penetrating, and it's always good to knock down a couple of shots.
All right, so we'll let you get back in the rooms, and we'll see you in the second half. Thanks, Daryl. Daryl Pauletto there. Rob Waters and Andrew Gaze will be back after the break to assess the first half and look forward to the second.
Our battles against England
Here come the New Zealanders now.
include our darkest days and brightest triumphs.
First ever test win to New Zealand over England.
The competition is fierce. Unbelievable! Because we rise to the challenge.
Special moment in New Zealand cricket.
Keep calm and bat on.
In the air!
The ANZ Test Series, Thursday, live on Sky Sport 1. Brought to you by ANZ.
It's the perfect place to get away from it all. For some peace
No, you lose nightmare.
and quiet.
No, Mike, it's everything, not just a room. It's the hotel itself.
No, they don't need a bottle of champagne, believe me.
They've been crap from day one.
The staff are delightful.
I had no idea.
Grosvenor Hotel. Sod off.
You know they've rebooked more room.
We can't undo what's done.
Oh, shut up.
You can't say things
Yes,
like that.
I can. I can say what I like.
And we'll cater to your every whim.
Not a chance in hell.
There's fine dining.
They taste like
No good.
No.
Entertainment.
I didn't know about this.
This looks stupid.
It's everything you've ever wanted
Shut up, I'm doing something.
in a hotel. Book now.
I've had a really crap day. I don't need this.
The Hotel. Thursday at 9:30 p.m. on Living.
90 minutes of pure escapism. Happens every weekend on Sky Sports.
That is what champions do.
Follow football's.
We were playing really well. It's just unfortunate that the events happened the way they did, but like I said, happy to be home now.
And your shoulder, I mean, is that a long-term injury? How long are you expected to be out for?
Out for about 4 to 6 months until I'm fully back, which, again, not ideal, but after a long Olympic campaign and all that, probably do the body good to have some time off and rejuvenate myself, ready for next season.
Better do it this year than last. Mark, thanks very much for your time. Best luck with your recovery.
Cheers, mate.
Back to you, Andrew and Rob.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, that Mark Worthington. I'm not discuss anything really on our NBL coverage as Golding gets a good pass and finishes off well, but the Serbian health system is a bit of a surprise, Andrew, it must be said.
No, I know, and I think any time you're having major surgery, you just, I'm sure the health system over there is pretty sound, but just, I think you feel comfort in your more familiar environment. But Mark Worthington, wouldn't he be a handy pickup for the Melbourne Tigers? Real close friends with Chris Anstey, so who knows, perhaps.
Watch this space, maybe?
Perhaps in the future. Love to have a player of Mark Worthington's quality back in the NBL, regardless of who it's with, just with any of the teams.
Golding for 3, so the Tigers have come out and scored the first 5. It's a long, long way back, but they're giving us something.
Good start by the Melbourne Tigers. This is the area they really need to work on, is down here on the defensive end, trying to figure out a way to contain some of that penetration.
Ballinger. Tomlinson. Oh, they give him the shot. Doesn't fall for him. If he could just nail a couple of bit of confidence, the world of good. It's back from Burston, who you can see a shooting way. Here's Golding. He's an instinctive shooter. Fletcher couldn't control it, so Burston with a good hustle.
Great work on the glass early on in the third period, giving the Tigers a number of chances at it.
Tomlinson takes it to the paint.
A little pushing foul. And we noticed at halftime too, we might have just forgotten some of the dimensions on the floor. We noticed that in the first half, there wasn't that no charge circle. The lines hadn't been put down, so there was a bit of a frantic rush at halftime to get that sorted. And that time, clearly, outside of the no charge circle, a little push off goes the way of the Breakers.
Or the way for never, I suppose. Very rare that you see in a quarter of basketball a team can explode like that and extend their lead by 20 points.
It's just real efficient offense and some poor decisions by the Melbourne Tigers allowed New Zealand Breakers to get out there, push the lanes and pick up some wide open shots. Not good enough to knock them down. It's just textbook right there. I mean, that is as close as you get to a 5-0 drill that you'll do in shoot-around in preparation. It's way too easy for the New Zealand Breakers.
Just throwing his weight around there on Jacona. Tomlinson searching for a way, and Jackson picks his pocket. Abercrombie's been quiet today, hasn't had a lot to do, and that's because Corletto has been the man.
Wide open, a little fumble, and Abercrombie good enough to regather and kick it out. You know, he's wide open though, Rob. That's the thing. There's a little transition. There's another turnover. Cedric Jackson with a reverse. Almost made a meal of it. Reverse. Still goes in.
I like that though. A bit of showtime. He's an entertainer, Cedric Jackson. Here's the turnover stat. And the Tigers, unfortunately, 12-5.
3 of them in the last 3 minutes.
Catch and shoot from Ballinger. It's hard for a team that's struggling to make the finals to take on the top side in the competition, who's won the last couple of championships and is just a well-oiled machine. And to do that without your #1 playmaker is really difficult. Thurston takes it to the hoop, but what is Johnny Flynn's future with the Melbourne Tigers?
Well, I think most people hope that he'll be able to play another season. He's been a fantastic contributor to the NBL and the Melbourne Tigers, marquee player statistically in the top 3 in points and assists, and there's a foul at the time by Thomas Abercrombie. Just a swipe from behind by Greer, but a lot of speculation about Johnny Flynn and his future. There's no doubt with his reputation that he has the capabilities of playing in and earning a lot more money in Europe, even in Asia. I mean, even before he came to Australia, the word was he sacrificed many hundreds of thousands of dollars to come to the Melbourne Tigers compared to an offer he had in China. So,
and why is that? Just to start,
I think he'd missed so much basketball, wanted to come to a culture that was an environment that's very familiar with the United States. And his quest, I think, is to try and get back into the NBA. That's his ultimate goal. And wanted to play where the style of play is a lot more similar to the United States. So that's why I think he made that choice. As Goulding knocks down a mid-range jumper.
And hopefully we'll talk to Johnny Flynn throughout this game sometime in the 3rd or the 4th quarter.
Matty Burson doing a good job, Rob. He's up to 10 points. He's 5 of 5. A little disappointing, though, in the first half, where he was 4 of 4. Didn't have a rebound. He's got 2 in this 3rd period, but they need to get more work out of Matty Burson on the glass. Good hands.
Great hands from Webster, and Goulding stripped. And with good defence from Nate Tomlinson initially to take it away from Jackson. So the Tigers more competitive in this 3rd quarter. They trail by 21 points at half-time, and Roger Aldrich has got some stuff for us. Rog.
Rob, you wanted to know about the future of Johnny Flynn. Well, we're going to go to the man himself. Johnny, let's start with the tough questions. Is your season done and dusted?
I wouldn't say that. Just sprained a tendon in my foot. You know, progress is a slow process with a foot because you can't really rest if you're always walking on it. But physio's been doing a great job, and I'm feeling better day by day.
Do you have to be conservative with your recovery as to not jeopardize your playing future?
I think anybody would do that. You know, in the case with a foot injury like this, it can just get worse and worse. So I think, you know, we just have a good plan laid out, going day by day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow about it or something.
So we've heard whispers, contrasts in rumours whether you might be rested for Thursday, that you might be back next weekend, or you might not play again this season. So personally, you just don't know. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's just what I said. You know, I definitely don't know. You just take it day by day. Like I said, Philly's been doing a great job. I've really been doing great every day since it happened. And you just have to play this one by ear. And we have a good enough team where they can hold it down. And you know, I just would love to be out there. But, you know, you have to take it day by day, and that's what I'm doing.
And what do you like as a spectator?
It hurts. You know, you always want to be out there. You want to jump on the court, and even like this, I'm gonna go jump out there and get an assist or something like that. But you know, our team is good. We're pulling together. New Zealand's a good team, but you know, we'll get it together.
Best to rest up and best of luck with the recovery.
All right, thank you.
Johnny Flynn there, Rob. He hopes to be back at some point, but really, we just don't know.
Okay, good stuff, Roger, and thanks to Johnny for having a chat to us as his Tigers try and scrap hard here in this third quarter. Gee, that's lovely play from Chris Golding. He's a talent.
Impressive drops there. 15 points now for Chris Golding and 5 of 12 from the field. Real smaller lineup the New Zealand Breakers go with. They've got 3 guards, Broletto, Jackson, and Webster. Subs coming in. Now they only get smaller. Pledger goes out, Bacona in, Jackson out, and CJ Bruton coming in. So this is a interesting matchup that Andre Lamanis has gone. He's gone with the small lineup. Do you think to counter the likes of Burston and Lucas Walker and Liam Rush?
Do you think there's a bit of long-term about this as well, given the makeup of Perth Wildcats?
I have no doubt there's some long-term about this. Let's not forget these teams got to meet in a few days' time back over in New Zealand.
Good job, good job.
This is Burston having a good game. Golding sees some space. He's off to the line, but
Golding's the prime focus on the offensive end right now. Everything's going through his hands, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. There's Dylan Boucher, not quite over far enough, and gets called for the reaching foul. Here's Golding goes to the line. Try and shoot a couple more. On his career, 77% free throw shooter. Comes up short.
It's been off a bit tonight from the stripe.
3 of 5 now on the evening.
So 4 of 6, going up to 66%. 18 points, the lead for the New Zealand Breakers. This is CJ Bruton, who's been quiet tonight. Loses the handle there, and then Boucher wins it back for him. Webster. Oh. And Burston fighting hard for the ball. Tomlinson wondering where the foul was. Did get touched from the ref. Burston full of beans. Out to Liam Rush. That's pretty good stuff from the Melbourne Tigers.
Liam Rush has had an interesting season. Missed a lot of games with a calf injury. Had a DNP coach decision at one stage, and other games he's really shown his worth. So an inconsistent season for Liam Rush. I just don't feel like they've really found the right role for him on the team. I've seen glimpses of his ability, and right there he's
what should it be?
The perimeter.
What should it be, his role?
I just think it's about him coming in and being able to exploit his strengths. Maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit, as the Melbourne Tigers, they still trail at 65 to 50.
You will be going undercover as high school students. The mission is this: infiltrate the dealers, find the supply.
You look really old. Were you held back? You look super young. Were you held forward?
Kids are weird these days.
I totally know the cause. Glee.
Screw you, Glee.
Your mother told me that you are undercover. I have got
to... I will straight up punch you in the face if you do not shut up.
Here at Hisense Arena, just to warm things up, as if it wasn't warm enough already, Andrew Gaze. It is steaming hot here in Melbourne after a sort of a heat wave in Melbourne over the last few weeks.
It is, and outstanding crowd too. Almost 6,000 coming into Hisense Arena this afternoon. So good effort by Tigers administration. As we've been saying this all year, the crowds this season in the NBL have been nothing short of spectacular.
And when you go to places like Perth and And that moment when you like with their hey, Chris Golding for 3, and all of a sudden we've got a bit of a game here.
Edging back to it. Got him a game on the back with some brilliance by Chris Golding. Up to 18 points now. Tough shot. You just got the sense and feel that New Zealand Breakers just take the foot off the pedal a little bit.
They have a bit.
Is that a travel? 1, 2 and a half.
And yeah, that'll be
out of bounds. Had a look at Chris Golding though. Step away, fade away. Beautiful extension and follow through.
Yeah, it was just for 2.
Nothing but cotton.
Nothing but cotton. I reckon the DJ's timed his run too. The music has just got everyone up and about.
That's how it's happening, isn't it?
So back to 13 points. Good to see the Tigers fighting hard. Chris Golding playing with plenty of intensity. Pulls that one up. Little short. Burst it. Once more controlling things.
Got a mismatch again.
Goes inside the Walker. Just spent it before he had it. Oh, that was a bit ugly in the end, and that'll be a New Zealand Breakers ball. So they're having a real go, the Melbourne Tigers, just coming unstuck every now and then. But as I mentioned,
I'm pretty sure if this had been game 1 or game 2 of a final series, semi-final series, Andre Lamanis' rotations, as far as the utilisation of players, would be a little different than what we're seeing now. But this is good. He gets a lot of time into his guys, gets to give some of his marquee players a little bit more of a rest. Not a lot, but a little bit. And that's a long season. Time certainly starts to add up.
6 seconds left on the shot clock. Golding will have to go here. Oh dear, they've made a bit of a meal of that. What do they need to get better, the Melbourne Tigers, Andrew? Who should they target next year?
Well, I think you look at the personnel out there, have a look at that pass. You've got to check out the free agent market, but the big one that's out there that's looming is Matthew Dellavedova. He'd have hopes, the Scenery superstar, of going straight into the NBA, but that's not the case. He definitely will have opportunities in Europe, but he's a game changer for any team in the competition. He's that good that he can really turn around the prospects of any team in the competition. So he'd be one that's a Victorian-born lad that maybe the Melbourne Tigers should be targeting, but I reckon there'd be a fair queue of people wanting the services of Matthew Dellavedova.
They're playing with St Mary's in the US, and
yep, their tournament's about to start next week, and I think that they need to win their tournament in order to get into the NCAA tournament. Although Gonzaga, the #1 team in the nation, is in their tournament, so maybe a second place in their conference tournament could get them there.
CJ Bruton,
a little bit of razzle dazzle from CJ.
We'll be having a chat to you next time you two say, oh, Burston with the big dunk. Not for the first time tonight. He's saying, where's the foul? Did he get it?
Andre Lamanis, I don't think was real happy with CJ that time because he just launched that shot just a little too early that gave the Melbourne Tigers and Matty Burston the chance to do that.
Well, 67-54. There's a minute and 50 to go of the third quarter, and the Tigers have given themselves a chance. All hope looked about gone at half-time, and they trail by 21, but they're hanging in there, the Melbourne Tigers, against the premiership favourites.
In this game, you have to trust your luck and accept where the chips will fall. Because an advantage in engineering is overcome by daring. In that fragment of a second, you decide to risk the inside line. To push the limit further and faster than the next driver. To hammer the accelerator and let the cards fall where they may. 2013 F1 Rolex Australian Grand Prix, live Sky Sport 2.
The Hall of Pain is now open. Get up out of your seats. I summon thee. This is SmackDown. My crusade starts tonight. You are going to pay. Tonight, I push
The electric motorbike.
It looks quick, doesn't it, huh?
Nothing has generated more controversy.
Wasted time. I'd ride it off a cliff.
Follow the men leading the charge.
Here we're talking 93% efficiency.
As they race to finish their bikes
That's a problem.
for the inaugural Isle of Man Grand Prix.
He's broken his leg. Wow.
Narrated by Ewan McGregor. Charge, Wednesday on Sky Sport 3.
Okay, there's the New Zealand Breakers and the Melbourne Tigers. Chris Golding's had a good game once more for Melbourne. Undermanned today with Seth Scott fighting back injury problems, and also Johnny Flynn not out there, and perhaps his season is in trouble. Optimistically, they hope to get him back in a week or so. They really need him out there, but potentially it could be all over for Johnny Flynn with that foot injury. So tough situation for the Melbourne Tigers at the moment, but they've got the margin back from 21 to 13 points. So they are some hope of staging an incredible revival, but you'd suspect that the Breakers were the ones that took the foot off the gas a little during that third quarter.
They certainly did, and Andre Lamanis is he's gone back with his main guns. Come back in to start this fourth, so he's trying to take care of business. But I think Roger Aldridge was down there listening in to Anstey.
He's been snooping around, Rog.
Yeah, been sniffing around the Tigers. Harder look, Chris Anstey very happy with that third quarter, understandably. He said it was a good quarter, but we've got to have one more left in us. We've got to get back into this. But having closed the gap from 21 to 13, I'd say they've gone a long way to that already. Whether they can continue, we'll have to find out.
Well, Chris Anstey's up and about, and plenty of encouragement. Reggie misses both, but it's a pushing foul call on. So another opportunity for the New Zealand Breakers. Tigers camp a bit nonplussed.
It is. Fouls on Chris Golding. Chris Golding on that rebounding contest. He's confused, seeking an explanation. Not sure he agreed with the explanation, but nevertheless. Oh my. See it from that angle.
Shaking your head.
Oh, maybe there's poor angle perhaps.
Abercrombie gives it a go. Oh, Burston, unfortunately, gave it to Pledger. Oh, it didn't fall. Tigers dodge a bullet there.
They do. And they're the ones you've got to come up with, your Melbourne Tigers. Given a great couple of looks at it.
Quick start here, vital for the Melbourne Tigers. And then suddenly the crowd gets involved and you never know.
Abercrombie away, gets called for the foul, guarding the cut of Liam Rush. His next 3 minutes really, I think, going to go a long way to determining whether or not the Melbourne Tigers can make a charge at it.
Hot day in Melbourne. New Zealand white hot in the opening half. Led by 21 points. Tomlinson with a Hail Mary! How about that?
Nate Tomlinson hasn't been renowned for his shooting in any capacity throughout the season. Knocks one down from the corner, and he shot it like he knew what he's doing.
Nice time to produce a moment like that. Back to 10. Oh, Burston emerges with it. Tigers on the move. This is Chris Golding. Tomlinson for the alley-oop play.
Oh, my.
Oh, brilliant Lucas Walker. Tomlinson's pumping his fist. The crowd off their seats.
That was not a great pass, but Lucas Walker, with supreme athleticism, made the pass look perfect. And he goes to the line, and Lucas Walker tries to pump up the fans.
Tigers with a bit of sense of belief, and Lucas Walker enjoyed that, as he should have. So's the coach, and there's a bit of pep in the step of the Melbourne Tigers, and the Breakers want to go to a break and just calm things down. But what about this revival from the Melbourne Tigers? They trailed at one stage by 21.
Mr. Savino, I pegged you the first moment I laid eyes on you.
The lines are drawn.
Do we have the deal we discussed?
But some enemies
You want me to walk away from money on the table?
come as your friends.
Regroup the Breakers, and
Back to 7, Lucas Walker with one of the 3-point plays of the season. Not many could have done what he did there. Gee, if the Tigers get another stop, it'll really get this crowd going.
And there you have it with this charge by the Melbourne Tigers. They've got a sense of belief, and even on that play there, the defensive intensity probably up 20 or 30% on what we've seen all night on that one possession.
Daryl Pauletto stripped, and then the fight's on for the footy. Lucas Walker's all over Pauletto, and he's fouled him.
Goal, 2-4.
Desperate effort by Lucas Walker. Here we see Pauletto. This time he goes in for that little floater we saw in the first half. Walker gets a hand on him and then puts a saddle on Pauletto and tries to ride him.
That's basically about it. But good to see the desperation. Lucas Walker gives it his all, and Ray Lamanis is up. He was thinking about a comfortable night at the office at half-time.
10 minutes ago.
Breakers still with a 7-point lead. Abercrombie floats it up, misses the lot, and no, that's a New Zealand ball, despite the Tigers players' protestations.
5 seconds. 5. Stay hard in print.
So 5 on the shot clock for New Zealand. Suddenly it's tough work for them, and Bacona gives it up. Well, I wonder, Andrew, it's a very hot day, and at times, it's hard work for players of both teams. New Zealand on the road.
They're still very much in the driver's seat, but they're just showing signs of just a little bit nervous, this uncharacteristic sloppy turnover, and there's another delightful play and a potential to make it one more.
Oh, everyone's getting excited here at Hisense Arena. What a comeback from the Melbourne Tigers. They've taken 15 points out of the New Zealand Breakers' 21-point lead and rushes at the stripe.
One shot.
10 consecutive points. 10-0 run. Chance to make it 11 for the Tigers.
Rush. Back to 4, would you believe, from 21. Cedric Jackson. It doesn't go. Can Walker get it back? New Zealand ball. They are fighting and scrapping for everything, the Tigers. New Zealand must have thought this was all over. And in their defence, everyone else at the stadium would have too. Webster for 3.
They can't score in the fourth. Still yet to score in the fourth period, the New Zealand Breakers. They only had 14 in the third, so...
Oh no, Tomlinson wanting a call. He's not going to get it, and Jackson with the easy layup.
You got stripped. Don't look at me like that.
Pretty good advice from the ref. You got stripped. Don't look at me like that. So that's the first points for the New Zealand team. Margin out to 6. That won't count, will it?
That's a tough one for the Melbourne Tigers. Really got the Breakers on the ropes, and to give up a turnover like that. First 2 for the Breakers, 9 for the Tigers in the quarter.
16.
Just resetting the clock. 16 left on the shot clock. Nate Tomlinson goes for Golding. Puts up the 3. Was he fouled? I think he was.
It's going to send Chris Golding to the line to shoot 3. So just now with this pressure on the Melbourne Tigers, Andre Lamana staying with Corey Webster. Left his feet, comes out to contest that shot. Chris Golding does a pretty good job of making sure the referee saw the contact. Not a lot of contact, I might add.
So Golding, until that, was going at 66% from the line. This is a big moment in this game. He makes the first two. Yeah, baby, indeed.
Some good numbers there, 20 points.
3 for 3 for Chris Golding. It's back to a 3-point margin. They've come from 21 points down, the Melbourne Tigers. Grandstand finish coming up. Cedric Jackson loses his footy. They'll get the ball back though, the New Zealand Breakers.
No surprise to see them put their hands into Cedric Jackson. Well, he just slipped on the decal. That is just... Couldn't see the contact at all there. Unless something happened to throw him off balance that we missed, but it just looked like he slipped on the decal.
I didn't assume a foul. I just thought Tigers were the last one to touch the ball. The Tigers will get it now and potentially have a chance to level things up.
And CJ Bruton comes back into the game. Vacona's checking out as well. Coletto's out. CJ's come back in. And Pledger comes in for Vacona.
It's all set up for a player like CJ Bruton. He's really looked to be pacing himself so far in this game. Didn't need to do a lot. Well, now he does.
He's yet to score. He's 0 for 3. Right now, there's probably not a more dangerous player on the floor except for Cedric Jackson.
This man's pretty dangerous. Golding to rush.
2 seconds.
Yeah, they won't get it up in time. Burst, and does it go? It does!
They didn't get it off. And they get the benefit of the doubt.
Gee, I thought they'd run out of time, but it counts.
Looked to me like they ran out of time as well. Have a look at it. It's hard to see the shot clock in the back. It was a close one, and the Tigers get the benefit of the doubt, and they trail it by 1.
A 1-point game. Burston's having an afternoon up to 14 points. Pledger. Lucas Walker makes him earn it. He's got some springs, Lucas Walker.
This has just been a quality defensive effort this second half by the Melbourne Tigers. That's where they've made the progress. Played almost 15 minutes in the second half, and the Tigers have held across the quarter and a half the Breakers to only 16 points, 14 in the third, 2 in the fourth.
Yeah. So it's dried up for New Zealand. They're on target for a 100-point game. At half-time, they've registered 53. Still a 1-point game. 2-point game, I beg your pardon. Scoreboard here hasn't adjusted, but ours has on screen, which is the important thing. Burston, yes!
And a chance to take the lead. Matty Burston just tidying up some tough work around the basket.
Well, this is quite extraordinary. It genuinely is. Matt Burston. 16 points for the big fella. He's not the most reliable shooter from the free throw area, but this is his moment. This is his time.
Well, it's a big one. He's only a 45% shooter. He's 18 of 40 on the season.
And really is enjoying his opportunity. No Seth Scott, or very little of Seth Scott this afternoon. Let's see how he goes. Oh, it almost got the job done, but
just a line drive. Needs to get a little bit more arc on that shot. The free throw. Now we've got a genuine test for the Breakers.
5 minutes left, all tied up at 70. Pledger. So this has been a terrifically gutsy performance from the Melbourne Tigers. Limited by injury to Seth Scott. Flynn's not out there at all. Seth Scott's hardly seen any minutes. And yet they've come from 21 down to level it up. With the breakers, Lucas Walker for 3. Burston, who's had great hands. Oh, Tomlinson open there, elected not to take it. For 72 to 70. Here's the foul situation.
It is. Abercrombie has got the 4, but he hasn't been really effective this afternoon. There you see the foul called on Corey Webster. Webster checks out of the game, and Abercrombie comes back in.
So Golding at the line and can level things up once more. Chris Golding relishing the responsibility of being really the main man out there on court for the Melbourne Tigers. Up to 22 points now. All tied up once more, and we're a fight to the wire.
I expect Cedric Jackson to take matters into his own hands now. Eventually run a little bit of motion, get it into his hands for the penetration and the dish.
Bouncer on. Pledger, that was well worked by the breakers.
It was a great pass by a good penetration by Boucher. Pledger's been effective. Pledger now up to 11 points. Got the 9 rebounds as well.
Oh, offensive foul. And that's against Liam Rush.
Chris Anstey yelling out he thought that CJ flopped. But the veteran gets the call this time. Take a look. Certainly contact there.
Often in these situations, it's really hard work for the chasing side once they've caught their opponent to go past them and finish the job. They use up so much emotional energy in just getting back to level terms. So still a power of work for the Melbourne Tigers to do.
There is a long way to go. Still 3 minutes and 51 seconds remaining.
But gee, they've given us something, haven't they? I mean, this was all over at half-time. It looked as if they were going to be belted by 30 plus.
Both teams are in the bonus as well. So every foul, every defensive foul is going to result in a couple of free throws. CJ Brook comes to the line to shoot a couple. Oh.
Gee, that's unexpected, I've got to say.
CJ, 72% on the season from the free throw line.
Oh, he missed both. And Walker just couldn't reel in the rebound.
A career 82% free throw shooter comes up blank.
And the Tigers get the ball back. Lucas Walker grabbed the bucket, but the ball wasn't there.
Just a wild pass. Like I said the last one was fairly wild, but Lucas Walker was good enough to get a hand on it. At that time, LeBron James couldn't have caught that.
What percentage play? Here's CJ Brook. Get back in to find a way. Oh, put the Moz on it. So suddenly the scoring's dried up at both ends, and not all going New Zealand's way. There's the pass from Nate Tomlinson. And
you know, the mistake that's made there, he's got to pass that as if he's shooting it. Just throw it near the rim, and there's CJ trying to make something happen off the dribble. And really, that should be Cedric Jackson making that play, not CJ at this stage of the game.
So what an exciting conclusion we've got coming up here. The crowd's right in this now. Stadium has come to life because the Tigers have come to life after being down by 21 points at half-time. Let's have a look at some of the scorers now, and 16 for Matt Thurston, 23 for Chris Golding. They've dominated. Tommy Greer has 8 points tonight. And Liam Rush, 6, as well as Lucas Walker, 6 for New Zealand. Daryl Coletto has 18 points. 15 of those came in the opening half. Jackson has 13, Webster has 14, and big fella Pledger has 11.
There's not a sense of real urgency or panic by the New Zealand Breakers, which I think you'd expect from the champs, and remaining fairly composed with this avalanche of scoring by the Melbourne Tigers. And as I said before, given what we saw in the first half, the defensive effort has been the most noticeable change in the Melbourne Tigers, and the reason why they're back in this contest. And also, more recently, they're just getting it through a few sets of hands before they pull the trigger on those early baskets, and it's allowed them a little bit more control on the offensive end, but also it's prevented the New Zealand Breakers from picking up those cheap transition baskets as well.
Breakers by 2. 3.5 minutes left. Holding successfully brings it up for Nate Tomlinson. This is Thurston. Golding. 5 left on the clock. He's got to shoot at Tomlinson. Does he get it up? No. Well, you call for them to use more time, Andrew. Not sure if that's what you had in mind.
That's not the play they were looking for. And Nate Tomlinson forced into that. Good defensive stand that time by the Breakers. Chris Anstey unhappy on the sidelines. I think the play was originally for the alley-oop or the backdoor cut for Chris Golding. Wasn't on. Tomlinson tried to make something off the dribble. Wasn't able to get there.
Only lost 3 times in this season. And have rarely been challenged. Abercrombie doesn't go for him, and Thurston.
After a slow effort on the glass in that first half where he had no rebounds.
Up to 8.
He's up to 8 in the second. Oh, there's another turnover.
Gee, they're just not giving themselves a chance here, the Melbourne Tigers. In their last 3 or 4 plays, they've just given it straight back.
They're up to 17 in the game. And this